Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into something that might just turn your whole negotiation game on its head.
Ooh, I like that. Turn the whole game on its head, yeah.
We're looking at how much you should actually be arguing when you're in a negotiation.
Okay.
We've got some really thought-provoking points coming straight from nargumentepas.txt.
Interesting.
And the big question we're grappling with today is, could all that logic, all those arguments that you're so carefully constructing, could they actually be working against you when it comes to getting a deal done?
So are we saying logic is bad now?
Well, not quite.
Okay.
But this source makes a pretty compelling case for why over-relying on arguments can be a huge stumbling block. It kind of goes against what we usually think, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I've got all my ducks in a row, all my facts straight, I should be able to persuade anyone.
Yeah, that seems pretty intuitive, right? You build a strong argument and you're more likely to get what you want.
Exactly. But the core idea here is that while arguing logically might seem like the most straightforward path to persuasion, it doesn't really reflect how people actually make decisions.
Right, because we're not always perfectly rational creatures, are we?
Not all the time, no.
There's all these emotions swirling around and past experiences and the relationships we have with the other person.
A whole messy mix.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just a spreadsheet of pros and cons. So if we assume everyone's making purely rational choices and we just hammer them with logic, well, we might be missing the point entirely.
We might even be shooting ourselves in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the pitfalls of this argument-focused approach to negotiation?
Well, a piece points out that when you make it all about the argument, it can instantly put people on the defensive.
Because suddenly it's a competition?
Yeah, you're trying to win the argument.
Yeah.
And that sets up this win-lose dynamic right from the start.
So instead of working together to find a solution that benefits everyone, it becomes this battle of the minds.
Right. And all the while, we're neglecting those crucial emotional and relational elements that are so essential for really successful negotiation.
Yeah. You can't just bulldoze your way through with logic and expect everyone to happily fall in line.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So what's the alternative then? If we shouldn't be arguing, what should we be doing instead?
Well, the source suggests that effective negotiation is less about how strong your arguments are and more about really understanding the underlying interests of each party.
So what's motivating them beneath the surface?
Exactly. Instead of getting bogged down in arguing about the numbers, let's say you're buying a car, you want to figure out why those numbers matter to each of you.
Okay, I see. So why is the seller sticking to that asking price? Maybe they have a quota to meet.
Exactly. And maybe on your side, you've got a strict budget.
Right. So it's not just about winning the argument. It's about figuring out how to make the deal work for everyone.
Absolutely. And by focusing on those underlying interests, you're much more likely to find creative solutions that you might have completely missed if you were too busy arguing about the surface level stuff.
It's like we're getting to the heart of the matter, not just the symptoms.
And it's interesting, the author actually throws in this little disclaimer. They say, "Ce n'est que mon avis, basé sur mon expérience."
Which basically means this is just my opinion based on my experience.
Yeah. So they're acknowledging that this isn't some kind of universal law. It's just something that they've observed to be true in their own negotiations.
Right. So it's not about throwing out logic altogether, but it's about recognizing that there's more to the story.
Exactly. It's about broadening our perspective. So the big takeaway for all of us today is maybe instead of spending all our time crafting those killer arguments before we walk into a negotiation, maybe we should spend a little bit more time trying to figure out what's really driving the other side.
Yeah, that's a big shift in thinking. It's easy to get caught up in our own heads, right? We're so focused on being right that we forget to actually listen to the other person.
I think we've all been there.
Definitely.
So here's a thought for you to chew on as you go about your day. Think about the last time you were trying to really persuade someone.
Mm-hmm.
Did your arguments actually help them understand your point of view?
Or did it just create more pushback?
What if, instead of trying to prove you were right, you had focused on understanding their perspective?
I think we might all be surprised by what happens when we actually stop arguing and start listening.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for diving into this with me.
Absolutely. It's been a great conversation.
We'll catch you next time.
See you then.